I woke to the sterile glow of a Boston hospital, where white walls and the relentless beep of machines trapped my fractured mind. Pain seared my chest. Each labored breath a reminder of the fire that nearly claimed me. My fingers, trembling, clutched a singed teddy bear, Jake's favorite, its fur matted with ash, a relic of the night I ran into flames. Beside me lay a crumpled photo of Sarah, her smile a frozen echo of joy, and an unopened letter, its edges worn from my restless grip. I was Alexander Thorne, architect of Boston's skyline. Yet my own life was a collapsed framework, shattered by loss. Despair clung like damp smoke, heavy and suffocating, as if the fire still burned within me. The teddy bear, once Chloe's. My daughter, lost to a car crash, now Jake's, tethered me to a pain I couldn't escape. Outside, the city's pulse mocked my stillness. Towers I designed stood tall, while I lay broken. The hospital's cold air carried no warmth, no promise. My heart, a hollow chamber, echoed with memories of Chloe's laughter, now silenced. I was adrift, unmoored in grief's tide. A man who built empires but couldn't rebuild himself, drowning in the wreckage of my own making. Guilt gnawed as I traced the letter's creases, its words unread. A final thread to Chloe I feared to unravel. The photo of Sarah, her eyes bright with life, anchored me to the family I'd saved. Sarah, Jake, Lily, Mia, yet I felt unworthy of their gratitude. The fire had been my crucible, a reckless plunge through smoke and heat to pull them from a crumbling building. I'd acted without thought, driven by a force I didn't understand, but now, in this bed, I questioned why. My designs shaped cities, but I couldn't mend the fractures in my soul. Each beep of the monitor taunted my fragility, a metronome to my failure. I was a stranger in my own skin, haunted by the crash that stole Chloe, by the silence where her voice once sang. The teddy bear, a bridge between my past and this new, fragile present, pressed against my chest. Its weight a reminder of what I'd lost and what I'd gained. Boston's skyline loomed beyond the window, its steel and glass indifferent to my ruin. I closed my eyes, willing the pain to fade. But the fire's heat lingered in my bones, a ghost that refused to leave, whispering of chances I wasn't ready to take. A shadow stirred, pulling me from the abyss. A stranger, cloaked in quiet resolve, moved with purpose through the dim room. He was older, his face lined with stories untold, his eyes carrying a weight that mirrored mine. Without a word, he slipped a folded note beneath my pillow and vanished into the corridor, as if he'd never been. The note's presence was a pulse, heavy with unspoken meaning. A mystery that pressed against my thoughts. I didn't open it. Fear held me back. Fear of what it might demand. Who was he? Why me? My hands trembled, clutching the bear tighter. Its worn fur grounding me. The note felt alive, a spark in the darkness, pulsing with secrets I wasn't ready to face. Outside, the Charles River reflected the city's lights. A quiet beauty that felt distant, unattainable. The stranger's act, sudden and unexplained, cracked the numbness that encased me. Something stirred, hope, perhaps, or dread, a fragile ember in the ashes of my heart. I lay still, the note untouched, its weight a promise or a warning. The hospital hummed, indifferent, but in that moment, the world shifted. And I sensed the first whisper of a path forward, faint as a breeze through autumn leaves. I left the hospital, the stranger's note tucked in my pocket, unopened, its weight a quiet anchor. My Beacon Hill penthouse greeted me with silence, its sleek glass and steel reflecting Boston's dusk but offering no warmth. The air felt heavy, absent of Chloe's giggles or the clatter of her toys. My footsteps echoed on marble floors, each step a reminder of the emptiness I'd crafted. Once a sanctuary of ambition, this place was now a tomb, its minimalist lines mocking my isolation. I set Jake's teddy bear on the counter, its singed fur out of place among polished surfaces. Sarah and her children were still at the hospital, safe but fragile, and I was here, alone, carrying their faces in my mind. The Charles River shimmered beyond my windows, its flow steady, unlike my unraveling heart. I sank into a leather chair, the city's lights blurring through unshed tears. This wasn't a home, it was a shell, stripped of life, mirroring the man I'd become. My architect's hands, skilled at shaping skylines, trembled, useless against the void within. The note burned in my pocket, but I turned away, afraid of its secrets, afraid of myself. Memory pulled me back to the night Chloe died. A rain-slicked road, a screech of tires, and my world shattered in a heartbeat. My wife, Ellen, had been driving. The crash took them both. I'd been at a gala, sketching designs on napkins, oblivious until the call came. The guilt was a blade, carving deeper with each quiet moment in this penthouse. I'd thrown myself into work after, building towers to bury the pain, but success was a cold companion. Now, saving Sarah's family had cracked that armor. I saw Jake's wide eyes, Lily's quiet strength, Mia's tiny hand in mine, and felt Chloe's absence anew. I'd signed papers to care for them temporarily. A reckless choice for a man who'd failed his own child. The penthouse, once my pride, felt like a cage, its silence screaming of my losses. I wandered to Chloe's old room, now a storage space, and found her favorite scarf, its soft blue threads a whisper of her presence. Outside, autumn leaves swirled, carried by a wind I couldn't feel. And I wondered if I could ever build a life from these ashes. Raising Sarah's children, even temporarily, was a battle I wasn't prepared for. My days, once filled with blueprints and boardrooms, now revolved around hospital visits and social workers' questions. I brought toys to the kids, watched Mia color with fierce focus, and listened to Jake's halting stories. Each moment a reminder of my inexperience. Money wasn't the issue, my firm thrived, but time and heart were. I'd never cooked for a child, never soothed a nightmare. The penthouse, sterile and vast, wasn't built for laughter or spills. Yet their presence lingered in my thoughts, a fragile thread pulling me from solitude. I worked late, sketching designs by lamplight. But my mind drifted to Sarah's weary smile, to Lily's questions about stars. Exhaustion settled in, not from labor but from carrying grief and hope at once. The note remained unopened, its mystery a shadow over my choices. Boston's skyline glowed, a testament to my past, but the kids' faces were my present, their trust a weight I both feared and craved. I stood at the window, the river's quiet flow urging me forward, whispering that this struggle, this loneliness, might yet shape a home. I stood outside the hospital, the autumn air sharp with the scent of fallen leaves, watching Sarah and her children settle into my penthouse. The stranger's note still sat unopened in my pocket, a silent challenge. As I turned to leave, a woman approached, older, her silver hair catching the streetlight's glow, her eyes carrying a quiet storm. She introduced herself as Eleanor, a widow who volunteered at the hospital. Her voice was soft, like the rustle of leaves along the Charles River, but it held a weight that stopped me cold. She'd seen me with the kids, she said, and recognized the look of a man carrying too much. Without prying, she shared a story of her own, a husband lost to illness, a life rebuilt from ashes. Her words weren't advice, but a mirror, reflecting my own fractured heart. Boston's skyline loomed behind her, its lights flickering like distant stars, and I felt exposed, yet oddly seen. Eleanor didn't ask for my story. She simply stood there, her presence a gentle anchor. I nodded, unable to speak, my architect's mind racing to build walls against her kindness, but failing. The encounter felt fated, a crack in my solitude. Eleanor's gaze held mine, steady and unjudging. As we sat on a bench outside the hospital, she spoke of small moments, how a stranger's smile once pulled her from despair, how grief was a river that carved new paths. Her words wove through me, philosophical yet grounded, like the earth beneath Boston's ancient trees. I didn't share my loss, but her silence invited trust. I thought of Chloe, of the fire, of Sarah's kids now filling my sterile penthouse with color and chaos. Eleanor didn't push, she listened to the words I didn't say. Her presence was a balm, softening the edges of my guilt. I noticed her scarf, woven with threads of gold, and she smiled, saying it was a gift from someone who'd saved her once, not with heroics, but with time. The river's current murmured nearby, its rhythm echoing her calm. I felt a shift, as if the note in my pocket grew lighter. Eleanor's story wasn't mine, but it carried a truth I couldn't ignore. Healing began in connection, not isolation. Her quiet strength lingered, a seed planted in my hollow chest. Before she left, Eleanor pressed a small, worn coin into my hand, a tarnished penny, its edges smoothed by years. "It's not much," she said, "but it's carried me through." Her eyes held a spark, as if she knew its weight would haunt me. She didn't explain, didn't need to. The coin was a riddle, like the note, a clue to something larger. I clutched it, its cool metal grounding me against the autumn chill. Eleanor walked away, her figure fading into Boston's twilight. leaving me with more questions than answers. The coin rested in my palm, unremarkable yet profound, a token of her story now tangled with mine. I thought of Mia's drawings, Jake's hesitant trust, Sarah's weary resilience. The hospital's hum faded, replaced by the city's pulse, alive and insistent. The penny, like Eleanor's words, was a spark in my darkness, a reminder that strangers could shift fates. I slipped it into my pocket, beside the note, and turned toward home, the river's glow guiding me, whispering of connections yet to come. I sat in a small coffee shop on Newberry Street, the aroma of roasted beans mingling with the crisp October air. The stranger's note and Eleanor's penny weighed heavy in my pocket. Untouched, but ever present, Sarah joined me, her face etched with exhaustion, yet softened by the morning light filtering through the window. We brought the kids to my penthouse days ago, their laughter a strange melody in my sterile world. Now, over steaming mugs, Sarah's shoulders relaxed, a rare pause from hospital visits and social workers. I stirred my coffee. The spoons clink a quiet rhythm, and noticed her fingers tremble slightly, mirroring my own unease. Boston's bustle hummed outside, leaves skittering across the sidewalk like fleeting thoughts. I offered her a scone, a small gesture, and her hesitant smile cracked the tension. The act felt monumental, a bridge over our shared silences. My architect's mind, used to grand designs, found meaning in this simple exchange. The Charles River's distant glow seemed to nod approval through the glass. For the first time since the fire, I felt a flicker of ease, as if the world's weight had shifted, if only for a moment. We spoke little, but the silence was warm, not heavy. I watched Sarah sip her coffee, her eyes tracing the shop's wooden beams, and sensed her guard lowering. I shared a story of Chloe, how she loved autumn, chasing leaves in the public garden. Sarah listened, her gaze steady, and offered a memory of her husband, David, lost to a construction accident. The words flowed like the river outside, natural and unforced. I felt less like the man who'd failed his daughter, more like one who'd saved a family. The scone, now crumbs on the plate, was a catalyst, our shared vulnerability, a blueprint for connection. I sketched a leaf on a napkin, a habit from my design days, and Sarah laughed softly. Her first real laugh. The sound was a spark, warming the hollow in my chest. Boston's autumn light bathed us, its golden hues a reminder of life beyond grief. We weren't healed, but we were less alone, our losses knitting us together. The coffee shop, with its worn tables and murmured conversations, became a haven, a place where two broken souls could breathe, if only for an hour. As we left, I held the door for Sarah, the bell chiming above us. She paused, her breath visible in the cool air, and said, "I'll come back here, if there's time." Her words were casual, but they landed like a vow, fragile yet firm. I nodded, my throat tight, and slipped my hands into my pockets, feeling the note and penny. The promise wasn't grand, but it was enough, a thread to tomorrow. We walked toward the penthouse, the kids waiting, their needs a tether pulling us forward. The sidewalk crunched with leaves, each step a quiet pact. I thought of Mia's drawings, Jake's stories, Lily's questions, and how they'd begun to fill my empty spaces. Sarah's presence beside me was a quiet strength, like the oaks lining the street. Rooted despite the wind, Boston's skyline rose ahead, my towers gleaming. But this moment, this walk, felt truer than any design I drafted. The river's whisper followed us, carrying Eleanor's wisdom, urging me to trust this fragile bond, this chance to build not just a home, but a life. Eleanor appeared at my penthouse door one crisp Boston morning, her silver hair catching the sunlight, as if drawn by an unspoken thread. She offered no reason, only a quiet smile, saying she'd been passing through. The note and penny in my drawer stirred in my mind, but I didn't ask. Instead, I invited her in, the kids' chatter filling the once silent space. Mia tugged at her scarf, asking about its golden threads, and Eleanor knelt, weaving a tale of a weaver's kindness. Her presence was a soft breeze, easing the weight of my grief. I watched her move through my sterile home, her calm a contrast to its sharp edges. Sarah, stirring coffee, met her eyes with a nod, sensing the same unspoken warmth. Outside, the Charles River flowed, its steady current mirroring Eleanor's quiet resolve. My architect's hands, used to drafting towers, itched to hold this moment, to build something lasting from her visit. The penthouse, no longer a tomb, hummed with life, Jake's toys scattered, Lily's books open. Eleanor's return, unprompted, felt like autumn's first leaf falling, a sign of change I couldn't ignore, grounding me in a hope I hadn't dared to feel. We gathered in the kitchen, where Eleanor noticed a wobbly chair, its leg loose from the kids' roughhousing. Without fanfare, she pulled a small toolkit from her bag, worn, like her penny, and set to work. Her hands, steady and sure, tightened screws as she hummed a tune, the notes blending with the river's distant murmur. I joined her, passing tools, our movements a quiet dance. The act was small, but it shifted the air. The chair, now steady, became a symbol of mending. Sarah chopped vegetables nearby, her knife's rhythm syncing with our task. Mia watched, sketching the scene, her crayons capturing Eleanor's scarf in gold. The penthouse felt warmer, its cold lines softened by this shared effort. I thought of Chloe, how she loved fixing things with me, and felt a pang, but Eleanor's hum eased it, like sunlight through Boston's oaks. The chair stood firm, a testament to small repairs. The lives pieced together. Eleanor's presence wove us closer, her gentle acts a blueprint for healing, showing me that homes are built not with steel, but with care. Later, when Mia spiked a fever, Eleanor stayed, helping Sarah brew tea while I read to the kids. Her calm steadied us, a lighthouse in our storm. She didn't hover, just moved where needed, stirring the pot, tucking a blanket around Mia. Her actions were simple, yet profound, like the penny she'd given me, carrying weight beyond their size. I watched her with Jake, listening to his halting stories, her nods encouraging his voice. The penthouse, once a cage, felt alive, its walls echoing with warmth. Outside, the city's lights flickered, but here, Eleanor's quiet strength held us. I thought of the fire, of saving Sarah's family, and how Eleanor's presence now saved me, not from flames, but from isolation. As Mia's fever broke, Sarah's eyes met mine, grateful. And Eleanor smiled, slipping out as dawn painted the river gold. Her departure was soft, like leaves settling, but her warmth lingered, a promise of return. A reminder that healing grows in the smallest acts, rooting us to each other. Mia's small hand tugged Eleanor's sleeve one evening in my penthouse, her eyes bright with a trust one hadn't seen before. The air was thick with the scent of Sarah's baking, a rare warmth in my once sterile home. Eleanor, who'd returned again without explanation, sat cross-legged on the rug, her silver hair glowing under the lamplight. Mia, clutching a crayon drawing of a sunlit tree, offered it to her, whispering, "It's for you, 'cause you're nice." Eleanor's smile was a quiet dawn, her fingers tracing the paper as she asked Mia about the colors. Mia babbled about forests she'd never seen, her voice a melody that softened the room's edges. I watched from the kitchen, my architect's heart, used to rigid lines, unsteady at this tenderness. Jake and Lily sprawled nearby, their laughter weaving through the scene. Outside, Boston's skyline shimmered, the Charles River a silver thread under the moon. Eleanor's presence, gentle as autumn leaves, drew Mia out, her chatter a bridge between our losses. I gripped the counter, the stranger's note and penny in my pocket stirring, their mystery paling against this moment, where a child's trust felt like a cornerstone for something new. The three of them, Eleanor, Mia, Sarah, formed a tableau by the window, bathed in the city's glow. Sarah joined them, her apron dusted with flour, laughing as Mia described her tree's magic leaves. Eleanor listened, her nods a silent encouragement, while Sarah's hand rested on Mia's shoulder, a gesture of ease. They looked like a family, their silhouettes soft against the glass, as if the fire that brought us together had forged this bond. I stood apart, pouring coffee, my hands trembling not from fatigue, but from the weight of seeing this. My penthouse, once a cold monument to my ambition, now held warmth, scattered crayons, a half-baked pie, voices blending like the river's flow. I thought of Chloe, how she'd have loved Mia's drawings, and felt her absence, yet also her presence in this scene. The river outside murmured, its current a reminder of life's persistence. This moment, fragile and unscripted, was a design I hadn't drafted, yet it felt truer than any tower I'd built. Eleanor's quiet role, her ease with Mia, wove us closer, a thread pulling tight, making us more than survivors, but kin. But hope, this fragile ember, scared me. I stepped onto the balcony, the night air sharp, Boston's lights sprawling below. What if this warmth faded? I'd lost Chloe, Ellen, my anchors. Could I trust this new bond? Mia's trust in Eleanor, Sarah's softening smile, felt like a gift I didn't deserve. The note and penny, still unopened, pressed against my thoughts, their secrets a mirror to my fear. I'd saved Sarah's family from fire, but could I save us from time's erosion? My architect's mind, trained to foresee flaws, saw cracks in this joy, social workers circling, my own heart scars. Yet Mia's drawing, taped to the fridge, glowed in my memory, a child's faith against my doubt. The river's whisper carried Eleanor's words about grief's new paths. I gripped the railing, torn between shielding myself and leaning into this hope. Back inside, their voices called me, a chorus against my solitude. I returned, the fear lingering, but the sight of Mia's smile. Eleanor's nod, Sarah's glance, rooted me like oaks standing firm in Boston's autumn wind. One quiet evening, as Boston's skyline glowed amber against the dusk, Sarah and I sat on my penthouse balcony, the Charles River's murmur a soft backdrop. The kids slept inside, their soft breaths a new rhythm in my once silent home. Eleanor had left earlier, her penny and the stranger's note still mysteries in my drawer. Sarah's hands cradled a mug, her eyes distant, and I felt the weight of unspoken grief between us. I broke the silence, my voice low, and spoke of Chloe, her love for piano, her laugh like wind chimes in the public garden. The words tore open old wounds, each memory a shard of glass. I confessed the guilt that haunted me. How I'd been at a gala when the crash took her and Ellen, my wife. Sarah listened, her gaze steady, the river's flow mirroring her quiet strength. My architect's heart, used to building walls, crumbled under her silence. The autumn air carried the scent of leaves, grounding me as I shared what I'd buried for years. This confession wasn't planned, but it felt like a release. A step toward the light that Mia's drawings and Sarah's presence had begun to kindle. Sarah's turn came, her voice soft but steady, like the river below. She spoke of David, her husband, a carpenter whose hands built homes until a scaffold collapsed, stealing him away. She described his warmth, how he'd carved tiny animals for the kids, how his absence left a void no job could fill. Her words painted a life of love and loss, each detail a brushstroke on our shared canvas of grief. I saw Jake's eyes in her story, Mia's curiosity, Lily's quiet strength, echoes of David living on. The balcony felt like a sacred space, Boston's lights a constellation witnessing our truths. I thought of Eleanor's penny, its worn surface a testament to enduring pain, and felt a kinship with Sarah, our losses weaving us closer. The river's current whispered of resilience, of paths carved through sorrow. My hands, usually sketching designs, rested still, holding this moment. Sarah's confession, raw and unguarded, mirrored mine, and in that sharing, we weren't just survivors of fire or tragedy, we were builders of something new, rooted in the earth of our shared pain. Our words settled, and we sat in silence, the city's pulse blending with the river's song. I felt lighter, as if Chloe and David lingered not as ghosts, but as gentle winds guiding us. Sarah reached for my hand, her touch brief but warm, a bridge over our grief. The act was small, like Eleanor's penny, yet it carried the weight of trust. I thought of the fire, how I'd run through flames to save her family. And now, in this quiet exchange, we were saving each other. The penthouse, once a cold monument, was transforming crayons, laughter, and now this moment of truth. Outside, autumn leaves fell, each one a reminder of life cycles. My fear of hope, born of losing Chloe, softened. Sarah's story showed me that grief could coexist with light. The stranger's note, still unopened, felt less daunting, its mystery part of this unfolding design. As we stood to check on the kids, Boston's skyline stood tall, but our shared truths were the truest structure I'd ever built, grounded in the heart's quiet strength. The morning after our balcony talk, Boston woke under a soft October mist, the Charles River veiled in silver. I found Mia in the penthouse living room, her crayons scattered, drawing a family, stick figures with bright smiles, one labeled Alex. My heart caught, the stranger's note and Eleanor's penny still heavy in my drawer. Their mysteries dormant but alive. Sarah was in the kitchen, teaching Jake to crack eggs, their laughter a new blueprint for my once silent home. I joined them, awkward at first, my architect's hands unused to domestic tasks. I took the spatula, flipping a pancake, and Jake's grin at my clumsy effort cracked my reserve. The act was small, but it wove us tighter, like threads in Eleanor's scarf. Outside, the mist lifted, revealing the city's spires, my designs among them, yet this moment felt truer. Mia ran in, showing her drawing, and Sarah's eyes met mine, warm with gratitude. The penthouse, no longer sterile, hummed with life, spilled flour, a child's art, our shared ease. This wasn't just caregiving. It was building, not with steel, but with care. A foundation laid in the quiet rhythm of a morning together. Later, Eleanor returned, her knock soft as the river's flow. She carried a small wooden box, saying it was for the kids. Something she'd found at a market. Inside were carved animals, bears, birds, rabbits, reminiscent of David's work Sarah had described. Mia gasped, clutching a tiny deer. While Jake arranged them in a circle, his focus intense. Eleanor sat with them, her silver hair catching the light, guiding their play with gentle questions. I watched, struck by how her presence anchored us, like the oaks along Boston streets. Sarah handed her coffee, their fingers brushing, a silent acknowledgement of shared loss. I thought of Chloe, how she'd loved such toys, and felt a pang, but Eleanor's calm eased it, her box a bridge between past and present. My hands, usually drafting towers, itched to hold this scene, to etch it into memory. The animals, simple yet profound, were a gift that spoke of healing, of lives pieced together. The penthouse glowed, its walls no longer cold, but warmed by this act. By Eleanor's quiet wisdom, drawing us closer as a family born of fire and grace. As evening fell, we sat together, the kids' chatter blending with the city's hum. I read to Mia, her head on my shoulder, while Sarah tucked Jake in, Lily reading nearby. Eleanor watched, her eyes soft, then slipped a carved bird into my hand, saying, "For you to remember." Its smooth wood felt alive, like her penny, a token of this fragile bond. I thought of the fire, of saving Sarah's family, and how these moments, pancakes, carvings, stories, were saving me. My fear of hope lingered, but the kids' trust, Sarah's warmth, Eleanor's gifts, grounded me. The river outside shimmered, its current a reminder of time's flow, urging me to embrace this. The penthouse, once a monument to loss, was now a home, its spaces filled with life. I held the bird, its wings a promise of flight, and felt Chloe's presence, not as pain, but as light. Eleanor left quietly, her smile a whisper of return, leaving us stronger, our roots deepening in Boston's autumn soil. Our family a design I hadn't planned but couldn't imagine losing. One evening, as Boston's skyline twinkled under a crescent moon, a sharp wail pierced the penthouse, a smoke alarm triggered by Sarah's forgotten toast. She froze, her face pale, eyes wide with terror, the sound dragging her back to the fire that nearly took her children. I rushed to her, my heart pounding, the stranger's note and Eleanor's penny forgotten in my drawer. The kids huddled in the living room, Mia clutching Jake's arm, Lily's book abandoned. I silenced the alarm, but Sarah's breaths came in gasps, her hands trembling like leaves in a storm. I knelt before her, my architect's hands, used to steady blueprints, now reaching for her shaking fingers. The Charles River's glow outside offered a faint calm, its current a reminder of resilience. I spoke softly, my voice a tether, recounting the night I saved them, how we'd outrun the flames. Her eyes met mine, haunted but searching, and I felt Chloe's absence, yet also her strength in this act. The penthouse, warm with the kids' presence, became a sanctuary, its walls holding us as I guided Sarah back from the edge, her panic a shadow we faced together. Sarah's breathing slowed, but the fear lingered, a ghost of the fire's heat. I led her to the balcony, the cool October air sharp with the scent of pine from distant trees. The city's lights sprawled below, my towers among them. Yet this moment, her hand in mine, felt like my truest work. I shared a memory of Chloe, how she'd hummed to calm her fears, and hummed a few notes. The melody fragile but steady. Sarah's shoulders eased, her gaze fixed on the river, its silver thread weaving through Boston's heart. She whispered of David, how he'd sing to the kids during storms. And a tear fell, glinting in the moonlight. The act of sharing, simple yet profound, built a bridge over her panic, like Eleanor's penny carrying weight beyond its size. The kids' voices drifted from inside, grounding us, their trust a foundation we were building. My fear of hope, born of loss, softened. Sarah's vulnerability showed me strength wasn't in steel, but in standing together. The river's murmur echoed our quiet, a philosophical hum of life's persistence, urging us to hold fast to this fragile, growing bond. We returned inside, where Eleanor had arrived, her knock unnoticed in the chaos. She sat with the kids, Mia on her lap, Jake showing her a carved bear. Her silver hair caught the lamplight, her calm a beacon. She didn't ask about Sarah's panic, just offered tea, her movements gentle as the river's flow. I watched, grateful, as Sarah joined them, her smile tentative but real. Eleanor's presence, like the oaks lining Boston streets, rooted us, her quiet acts, stirring tea, listening to Mia, mending what the alarm had broken. I thought of the fire, of saving Sarah's family, and how these moments, humming, holding, healing, were saving me. The penthouse, once a cold shell, glowed with life, its spaces filled with crayons, laughter, and now this shared recovery. I touched the carved bird Eleanor had given me, its wings a promise of flight, and felt Chloe's light and Sarah's resilience. Eleanor's eyes met mine, a nod of understanding. Her wisdom a thread in our tapestry, weaving us closer, a family forged not by blood, but by care, standing firm in Boston's autumn night. On a golden October Saturday, I led Sarah and the kids to Boston Common, the park's ancient elms ablaze with autumn hues. The Charles River sparkled nearby, its flow a quiet cheer for our first outing as a makeshift family. Mia skipped ahead, her pigtails bouncing, clutching a kite we bought on impulse. Jake carried a soccer ball, his eyes bright with anticipation, while Lily, ever thoughtful, held a sketchbook. Capturing the scene, Sarah walked beside me, her scarf fluttering, her smile free of the hospital's weight. The stranger's note and Eleanor's penny rested in my pocket, their mysteries softened by this moment. My architect's heart, used to rigid designs, marveled at the organic joy unfolding. Passers-by glanced, some smiling, as Mia's laughter rang like bells across the grass. The common, Boston's beating heart, embraced us, its leaves swirling like confetti. I felt Chloe's presence, not as pain, but as a breeze urging me to live. This outing, simple yet profound, was a blueprint for healing, each step a brick in the home we were building, rooted in the earth of shared laughter and sunlight. We spread a blanket near Frog Pond, the water reflecting the sky's deepening blue. Mia tugged me to fly the kite, her small hands guiding mine as we wrestled with the wind. The kite soared, a red speck against the clouds, and her squeals drew Sarah's laugh, a sound that warmed me more than the sun. Jake kicked his ball to Lily, who surprised us with a deft kick, her sketchbook forgotten. I joined in, clumsy but eager, my dress shoes slipping on the grass. Sarah clapped, her eyes dancing, and for a moment, we were not survivors of fire or loss, but a family, whole and alive. The park's rhythm, children running, dogs barking, leaves falling, wove us into its tapestry. I thought of Eleanor's carved animals, their quiet strength, and sighed here, in Mia's fearless joy. Jake's growing confidence, Lily's rare playfulness. My penthouse, once cold, seemed distant. This grassy expanse was our true home now, its open sky a canvas for our new design, painted with trust and the river's gentle hum. As the sun dipped, we sat on the blanket, sharing apples and stories. Mia asked about the sister in the sky, meaning Chloe, her innocence piercing yet soft. I shared how Chloe loved parks, her favorite game chasing leaves, and Sarah added a tale of David teaching the kids to climb trees. The kids listened, wide-eyed, their faces lit by the fading light, Boston's skyline a backdrop to our intimacy. A passerby, an older woman, paused, mistaking us for kin, and Sarah's blush matched my own. I felt the note and penny, their weight a reminder of mysteries unsolved. But this moment, our laughter, the kids' sticky fingers, the park's embrace, held greater truth. My fear of hope, once a shadow, faded in the common's glow, each shared story a root sinking deeper. The river's whisper carried us, philosophical and steady, promising that joy, like autumn leaves, could fall and rise again. We packed up, the kite tangled but treasured, and walked home, our steps synchronized, a family forged in Boston's heart, bound by this day's light. In the quiet of a Boston evening, as the Charles River reflected the city's amber glow, I approached the dusty piano in my penthouse, untouched since Chloe's death. The kids were with Sarah in the kitchen, their laughter a soft hum, like leaves rustling in the public garden. The stranger's note and Eleanor's penny sat in my drawer, their mysteries a faint pulse in my mind. I lifted the piano's lid, my architect's fingers trembling, tracing the keys Chloe once played. Her favorite piece, a simple lullaby, echoed in my memory, its notes a bridge to her light. I sat, the bench creaking, and began to play, halting at first, each chord a step through grief's shadow. The music filled the penthouse, softening its sterile edges, blending with the river's distant murmur. Mia peeked in, her eyes wide, and I felt Chloe's presence, not as loss, but as warmth. The melody wove through the room, a philosophical thread tying my past to this new family. My hands, used to drafting towers, found purpose in these notes, building a moment of peace that felt truer than any skyline I'd shaped. The kids gathered, drawn by the music, their faces lit by the lamplight's glow. Sarah stood at the door, her apron dusted with flour, her smile gentle as the autumn breeze outside. I played on, the lullaby flowing smoother, each note a release of guilt I'd carried since the crash that took Chloe and Ellen. Mia climbed onto the bench, her small fingers mimicking mine, and I guided her, our hands a quiet duet. Jake tapped his foot, Lily swayed, and Sarah hummed along, her voice a soft echo of David's song she'd shared. The penthouse, once a cold monument, became a sanctuary, its walls resonating with the shared song. I thought of Eleanor's carved bird, its wings a promise of flight, and sighed here, in the kids' trust, Sarah's ease. The river's current outside whispered of cycles, of grief giving way to light. My fear of hope, once a heavy stone, lightened. This music, born of loss, was now a gift. A blueprint for healing drawn in sound, connecting us across time, rooted in Boston's enduring earth. As the lullaby ended, silence settled, warm and full, like the city skyline at dusk. Mia asked, "Was that for your girl in the sky?" And I nodded, my throat tight, feeling Chloe in the room, her laughter and Mia's smile. Sarah's hand brushed my shoulder, a fleeting touch that anchored me. I shared how Chloe would play this piece to calm storms, and Sarah added that David loved music, too, strumming lullabies for the kids. The kids listened, sprawled on the rug, their faces soft in the glow, Boston's lights a backdrop through the window. The piano, once a relic of pain, was now a hearth, its keys a canvas for our shared story. I felt the note and Penny's weight, their secrets part of this unfolding design. But this moment, our music, our memories, held greater truth. The river's whisper carried Eleanor's wisdom, urging me to embrace this piece. I closed the piano, the kids' chatter rising, and knew this home, built of sound and trust, was stronger than any tower. Its roots deep in the heart of our autumn night. One crisp November morning, Boston's skyline gleamed under a pale sun, the Charles River a silver ribbon below, inspired by Mia's drawings of trees. I proposed a project to Jake, a small garden on the penthouse balcony. His eyes lit up, a spark I hadn't seen since the fire. The stranger's note and Eleanor's penny rested in my drawer, their mysteries quiet but present. Sarah and the girls joined us, carrying pots and soil from a Beacon Hill shop. Jake, usually reserved, took charge, his hands digging into the earth with purpose. I knelt beside him, my architect's fingers, used to blueprints, now sifting dirt, learning its weight. The air smelled of loam and possibility, like the public garden after rain. Mia sprinkled seeds, Lily labeled pots, and Sarah's laughter wove through our chatter, her ease a testament to our shared healing. The balcony, once a sterile perch, bloomed with life, its concrete softened by green. I thought of Chloe, her love for flowers, and felt her in the breeze, urging us on. This garden, small but vital, was a design we built together, its roots a symbol of our growing family. Grounded in Boston's autumn earth, we worked through the morning, the river's murmur a steady guide. Jake showed me how to pack soil, his instructions earnest, echoing David's carpentry Sarah had described. I listened, my hands following his lead, our roles reversed in this quiet apprenticeship. Mia painted pots with bright swirls, her giggles blending with the city's hum, while Lily, ever precise, arranged herbs in neat rows. Sarah tied back her hair, her fingers dusted with earth, and caught my eye. Her smile a silent bridge over our losses. The act of planting, simple yet profound, mirrored Eleanor's carved animals, each seed a promise of growth, each pot a step toward home. My penthouse, once a cold monument, now held warmth, soil on the floor, laughter in the air. I thought of the fire, how I'd carried Jake through flames, and now, in this sunlight, we were building, not escaping. The river's flow outside whispered of cycles, of grief yielding to life. This garden, our shared labor, was a testament to resilience. It sprouts a blueprint for a family forged not by chance, but by care, thriving in Boston's heart. As dusk settled, we stood back, admiring our work. Pots lined up, soil dark with hope. Jake handed me a small stone he'd found, smooth and warm, saying, "For the garden." I held it, its weight like Eleanor's penny, a token of this moment. Sarah suggested we name the garden Chloe's Patch, and the kids nodded, Mia adding, "For the Sky Sister." My throat tightened, but the pain was soft, woven with joy. I shared how Chloe would have loved this, her hands always dirty from play, and Sarah spoke of David's garden dreams. The kids listened, their faces glowing in the twilight, Boston's skyline a backdrop to our unity. The stone rested in my palm, a piece of our new foundation, joining the note and penny as symbols of this journey. My fear of hope, once a shadow, faded in the balcony's glow, each plant a root sinking deeper. The river's whisper carried us, philosophical and steady, promising growth beyond sorrow. We cleaned up, hands earthy, hearts full, and returned inside, our garden a living design, a family bound by soil and light, standing firm in Boston's November dusk. A cold November day brought a letter to my Beacon Hill penthouse, its official seal chilling my bones. Boston's skyline loomed gray, the Charles River's flow muted under clouds. The letter, from a local charity, questioned my temporary guardianship of Sarah's children, citing our non-traditional arrangement. They proposed foster care, claiming stability for Jake, Lily, and Mia. My heart sank, the stranger's note and Eleanor's penny in my drawer now heavy with urgency. Sarah read it, her face paling, the fire's trauma flickering in her eyes. I stood by the balcony garden, Chloe's Patch, its herbs defiant in the chill, and felt a surge of resolve. My architect's hands, used to drafting towers, clenched, ready to build a defense for this family I'd saved. Mia's drawings, taped to the fridge, and Jake's stone on the counter anchored me. The penthouse, warm with laughter, faced its first threat, but the river's steady pulse outside whispered of resilience. I vowed to fight, not just for them, but for the home we'd grown, rooted in Boston's soil, our unity a design no paper could undo. Sarah and I sat at the kitchen table, the kids playing nearby, unaware of the storm brewing. The letter's words, stability, best interests, cut like wine through the commons elms. Sarah's voice trembled, recalling David's death, her fear of losing her children anew. I shared my own dread, how Chloe's loss taught me life's fragility, yet saving them from the fire gave me purpose. We pored over documents, my legal contacts already in motion, but the weight of bureaucracy loomed. Eleanor arrived, her silver hair a beacon, sensing our tension without asking. She brewed tea, her calm like the river's flow, and listened as we spoke of the charity's claim. Her presence, steady as Boston's oaks, eased our panic, her penny's memory a reminder of enduring trials. The garden outside, small but thriving, mirrored our resolve. Seeds sown in hardship could grow. My hands, sketching plans for court, found strength in Sarah's nod, in Eleanor's quiet faith. This challenge, cold and formal, tested our bond, but our shared losses, woven through laughter and tears, were a foundation stronger than any legal threat, a home we defend with every breath. By evening, we drafted a response, our words a tapestry of commitment. I stood on the balcony, the city's lights breaking through the clouds, and felt Chloe's presence in the garden's green. The charity's threat was real, but so was our family, Mia's trust, Jake's courage, Lily's quiet strength, Sarah's resilience. I thought of the fire, how I'd carried them through flames, and now, through this, we'd carry each other. Eleanor joined me, handing me a sprig of mint from Chloe's Patch, its scent sharp and alive. She spoke of battles won through love, her voice philosophical, like the river's endless song. I held the mint, its fragility a mirror to our hope, yet its roots were deep, like ours. The penthouse glowed inside, the kids' voices a chorus against the letter's coldness. My fear of losing this family, sharper than losing Chloe, fueled my fight. The river's whisper promised endurance, its current a guide through this storm. We returned inside, united, our resolve a design etched in Boston's autumn night, a family forged in fire, ready to stand as one against the world's doubts. Boston's December dawn cast a pale light over the Charles River, its icy flow mirroring the tension in my penthouse. The charity's threat to take Sarah's children loomed, our legal fight ongoing. Eleanor arrived, her silver hair catching the frost's glow, offering a proposal. Her lawyer friend, a pro bono expert, could strengthen our case. She spoke calmly, her voice like the river's murmur. But I heard pity in her offer, a sting to my pride. The stranger's note and her penny, still in my drawer, felt like weights of obligation. My architect's heart, used to self-reliance, bristled. I'd saved Sarah's family from fire, built towers, yet now needed charity. Sarah, stirring tea, nodded gratefully, but I cut in, my voice sharp, questioning Eleanor's motives. Her eyes, steady as Boston's oaks, held no judgment, but my words built a wall. The penthouse, warm with Mia's drawings and Chloe's patch, grew cold with my defensiveness. Outside, the city skyline stood firm, my designs among them, yet I felt small, misreading Eleanor's kindness as a judgment on my strength, my fear of losing this family twisting her gift into an insult. The argument flared, my voice rising like wine through the commons elms. I accused Eleanor of seeing me as broken, a man who couldn't protect his own. Sarah stepped in, her face tight, defending Eleanor's intent, but I pushed back, my guilt over Chloe's death fueling my anger. I'd failed my daughter, been absent at her crash, and now this offer felt like proof I was failing again. Eleanor stood silent, her scarf's gold threads glinting, her calm a contrast to my storm. I ranted about independence, how I'd fund the fight alone, my architect's mind drafting barriers against help. The kids, playing in the next room, fell quiet, sensing the rift. Sarah's eyes, wet with frustration, pleaded for reason, but I couldn't stop, each word a brick in my isolation. The river's flow outside, steady and philosophical, mocked my unraveling. Eleanor's offer, meant to shield our family, became a mirror to my fears of weakness, of loss, of hope betrayed. My hands, used to building, now tore down, the penthouse's warmth fading, its garden a distant memory under winter's chill, as my pride burned brighter than the fire I'd once outrun. Eleanor gathered her coat, her movements slow, like leaves settling on the river's bank. She didn't argue, didn't defend her offer, just looked at me, her eyes holding a quiet sorrow. I meant no harm, she said softly, then walked to the door, her departure silent as Boston's first snow. The click of the latch cut deeper than my words, the penthouse echoing with her absence. Sarah stared, her silence heavy. The kids' voices hesitant now. I stood frozen, the note and penny's weight crushing, their mysteries no match for this self-inflicted wound. The skyline beyond the window, my life's work, loomed indifferent, its steal no comfort. I'd misread Eleanor's gift, turned her help into pity, and pushed away a pillar of our fragile home. The river's whisper, carrying tales of endurance, felt distant, my anger a wall against its wisdom. I sank into a chair, Chloe's patch visible through the glass, its herbs bowed by frost, mirroring my regret. This family, built through fire and trust, now trembled, my pride the greatest threat, leaving me alone in the cold I'd crafted, yearning for Eleanor's return. Boston's winter gripped the Charles River, its icy shimmer a mirror to the chill in my penthouse after Eleanor's departure. My harsh words, born of pride, echoed in the silence, the charity's legal threat still looming. One snowy morning, Mia slipped a folded paper under my door, a drawing of a golden-scarfed woman holding hands with stick figures labeled, Us. Her note, in wobbly crayon, read, Come back, nice lady. My heart clenched. The stranger's note and Eleanor's penny heavy in my drawer, their mysteries now joined by Mia's plea. I stood by Chloe's patch, its herbs dusted with frost, and felt Mia's gift crack my defenses. Sarah, folding laundry, saw the drawing and nodded, her eyes urging reconciliation. The skyline outside, my tower stark against the snow, reminded me of my hubris. My architect's hands, skilled at building, had torn us apart, but Mia's innocence, like the river's persistent flow, offered a path back. I clutched the paper, its colors a beacon in my regret, and vowed to find Eleanor, to mend what my fear of pity had broken, for this family weed forged in fire, rooted in Boston's resilient earth. I found Eleanor at the hospital, volunteering, her silver hair catching the sterile light. I approached, Mia's drawing trembling in my hand, my voice low with apology. I admitted my pride, how her offer felt like pity, exposing my guilt over Chloe's death. Her eyes, steady as Boston's oaks, softened, and she took the drawing, tracing Mia's lines. She shared her own loss, a son, years ago, whose absence taught her to give without expectation. Her words, philosophical like the river's murmur, eased my shame. I saw Mia's trust in her, Sarah's gratitude, and felt the weight of my mistake. The hospital buzzed, but our corner was quiet, a sanctuary of forgiveness. Eleanor didn't judge. She nodded, her scarf's gold threads glinting, a symbol of her enduring kindness. I thought of Chloe's patch, its seeds sleeping under snow, waiting for spring. Mia's gift, simple yet profound, had reopened the door I'd slammed, weaving us back together. My hands, once clenched in anger, relaxed, holding the drawing like a blueprint for repair, a promise to build not walls, but bridges, in this family born of flame and grace. Back at the penthouse, Eleanor joined us, Mia's drawing taped to the fridge beside Chloe's patch. The kids swarmed her, Jake showing his carved bear, Lily offering a sketch. Sarah brewed tea, her smile warm, the rift healing in their chatter. I stood by the window, the river's glow breaking through clouds, and reflected on my journey. The fire had thrust me into their lives, but pride nearly cost me this home. Mia's laughter, Jake's trust, Lily's quiet strength, Sarah's resilience. The charity's threat lingered, but Eleanor's return, sparked by Mia's gift, fortified us. I thought of Chloe, her light in Mia's crayon lines, and David, his warmth in Sarah's care. The note and penny, still unopened, were mysteries I'd face in time, but this moment, our family. Whole again, was truth. The river's whisper, carrying tales of endurance, urged me forward, philosophical and steady. My fear of hope, once a shadow, dissolved in this light. Each laugh a root sinking deeper. We sat together, Boston's skyline a backdrop, our home a design of love, eternal as the city's autumn heart, built to weather any storm. Boston's mid-December chill wrapped the Charles River in a misty veil, its flow a quiet promise of continuity. In our penthouse, Chloe's patch stood resilient, its herbs green against the frost. Mia's drawing had brought Eleanor back, mending my pride's wound. But the charity's legal threat to take Sarah's children lingered, a shadow over our unity. One evening, as the skyline glowed, I found Lily at the kitchen table, her sketchbook open to a detailed drawing of our family. Me, Sarah, the kids, even Eleanor, labeled Forever Home. Her quiet act, unlike Mia's bold colors, stirred my resolve. Sarah, sorting legal papers nearby, paused, her eyes softening at Lily's work. My architect's heart, once fixed on towers, saw this child's vision as a blueprint for our fight. The stranger's note and penny in my drawer, mystery still, felt lighter beside Lily's gift. The penthouse, alive with Jake's carvings and Mia's laughter, was our fortress, its warmth a shield. Outside, the river's murmur, philosophical and steady, urged us to hold fast, our family a design rooted in Boston's winter earth, preparing for the battle to keep us whole. We gathered around Lily's drawing, the table cluttered with legal documents and tea mugs, the city's lights a backdrop. Sarah shared her fear of losing the kids, her voice low, echoing David's absence. I admitted my own dread, how Chloe's loss made every threat feel like a blade, yet their trust gave me strength. Lily, usually silent, spoke, her voice clear. We're a family now, right? Her question, simple yet profound, cut through our doubts. I nodded, my hand on hers, and Sarah's smile, like the river's glow, warmed us. We reviewed our case. My legal team's updates promising, but Lily's drawing was our true anchor, a child's faith in our bond. Eleanor's absence, though mended, lingered in my thoughts. Her penny's weight reminded me of her wisdom. The penthouse, once sterile, now held our story, crayons, herbs, sketches. My hands, used to drafting, traced Lily's lines, building resolve. The river's whisper outside, like Boston's oaks, promised endurance, guiding us toward a future where this family, forged in fire, would stand unbroken. Its roots deep in shared hope and quiet acts of love. Later, Jake brought his carved bear, placing it beside Lily's drawing, saying for luck. Mia added a tiny painted stone. Her contribution to our family map, as she called it. These tokens, like Eleanor's bird, were our talismans, proof of our unity against the charity's cold claim. Sarah and I worked late, drafting a statement for court, our words a tapestry of commitment. I thought of the fire, how I'd carried them through flames, and now, through Lily's sketch and the kids' gifts, we carried each other. The skyline beyond, my towers gleaming, paled beside this scene, children's faith, Sarah's resilience, our shared purpose. My fear of hope, softened by Mia's drawing, now felt like strength, each act a brick in our home. The river's current, warm and philosophical, flowed with stories of survival, urging us to trust this bond. As we tidied up, Lily's drawing taped to the fridge, I felt Eleanor's return approaching, her wisdom a thread we'd soon weave anew, our family a design eternal, standing firm in Boston's winter night. Ready for what lay ahead. Under Boston's late December sky, the Charles River gleamed with a fragile ice sheen, its flow a quiet hymn to endurance. I stood in the penthouse, Chloe's patch dusted with snow, when Eleanor's knock came, soft as falling flakes. After my apology, sparked by Mia's drawing, she'd returned, no questions asked, her silver hair catching the lamplight. The charity's legal threat still hung over us, but her presence eased the weight. I opened the door, my architect's heart, once walled by pride, now open. She smiled, a gentle curve like the river's bend, and stepped inside, her scarf's gold threads glinting. The kids swarmed, Mia clutching her leg, Jake showing a new carving. Sarah, setting out mugs, met her eyes with a nod, their silence a pact of trust. The stranger's note and penny in my drawer felt lighter, their mysteries part of this unfolding home. My penthouse, warmed by laughter and herbs, embraced Eleanor's return, its walls no longer cold but alive with our story. Outside, the skyline glowed, my tower steady, yet this reunion, unforced and pure, was my truest design, rooted in Boston's winter earth, a family reborn in fire's glow. We sat by the window, the city's lights twinkling like stars, the river's murmur a philosophical guide. Eleanor didn't speak of my outburst, nor I of her absence. Our silence was enough, a canvas for healing. I poured tea, my hands steady, and she accepted with a nod, her eyes holding mine. A quiet understanding deeper than words. Mia climbed onto her lap, showing a new drawing, a family under a golden tree, Chloe's patch and crayon. Sarah laughed, her voice soft, and I felt the rift I'd caused mend, stitch by stitch. Jake handed Eleanor a carved bird, his gift mirroring her penny's weight, a token of trust. Lily, sketching nearby, offered a smile, her reserve thawing. The moment, simple yet profound, wove us tighter, like the oaks lining Boston's streets. I thought of Chloe, her light in Mia's art, and David, his warmth in Sarah's ease. My fear of hope, once a shadow, faded in this glow, each knot a brick in our foundation. The river's flow outside promised continuity, its current carrying us forward, a family not just surviving, but thriving, bound by this unspoken reunion. As night deepened, our hands reached out, mine to Sarah's, hers to Eleanor's, the kids to ours, a circle unbroken. No promises were spoken, just a quiet agreement to start anew, like seeds in Chloe's patch waiting for spring. I shared a memory of Chloe chasing snowflakes, her laughter echoing in this room. And Sarah added one of David building snowmen. The kids listened, their faces soft in the lamplight, Boston's skyline a backdrop to our intimacy. Eleanor's hand, warm with age, squeezed mine, her nod of to stay. The penthouse, once a monument to loss, was now a hearth, its spaces filled with drawings, carvings, and trust. The note and penny still unopened were mysteries I'd face later, but this moment, our hands linked, our hearts aligned, was truth. The river's whisper, carrying Eleanor's wisdom, urged me to embrace this. Its flow a reminder of life cycles. We stood, the kids' chatter rising, and I knew this family, forged in fire and mended by grace, was my greatest work, eternal as Boston's winter night, rooted in love's enduring design. Boston's early January light bathed the Charles River in a soft glow, its flow a steady pulse of renewal. Inspired by Mia's drawings and Sarah's rediscovered sketches, I proposed a children's art workshop in a Beacon Hill community center. The idea took root in our penthouse, where Chloe's patch now sprouted green despite the snow. Eleanor, her silver hair catching the sun, nodded enthusiastically, her penny and the stranger's note in my drawer symbols of this journey. Sarah, once a painter, hesitated, then agreed, her eyes bright with purpose. The kids cheered, Mia already planning murals, Jake carving frames, Lily sketching logos. My architect's heart, used to grand designs, found joy in this small venture, a blueprint for community, not profit. The charity's legal threat had eased, our unity proven, and this project felt like a natural step. Boston's skyline, my towers gleaming, faded behind the center's worn brick, where we'd build not wealth, but meaning. The river's murmur outside, philosophical and warm, echoed our resolve. Its current guiding us toward a purpose rooted in the city's heart, a family giving back through art's quiet power. We transformed a dusty room in the center, the air thick with paint and possibility. Like the public garden in spring, Sarah led, her brush confident, teaching kids to blend colors, while I hung their work, my hands learning new lines. Mia, a tiny teacher, showed peers how to draw trees, her laughter blending with the river's hum. Jake's carved frames adorned each piece, his focus a mirror of David's craft. Lily, usually reserved, guided shy students, her sketches inspiring them. Eleanor volunteered, her calm presence, like Boston's oaks, steadying the chaos. Parents watched, some joining, their smiles proof of connection. The workshop, free for all, wasn't about money. It was about healing, ours and theirs. I thought of Chloe, her love for art, and felt her in the room, her light in Mia's bold strokes. My penthouse, once sterile, now held paint-splattered clothes, a testament to the shift. The river's flow outside whispered of cycles, of sorrow yielding to joy, and this project, born of our fire-forged bond, became a canvas for purpose, a community woven through shared creation. As the workshop grew, I stood by the center's window, Boston's skyline a backdrop, the river's glow a philosophical guide. Mia's mural, a family under a golden tree, graced the wall, her happiness, and Jake's and Lily's, my measure of success. Sarah's laughter, guiding a child's brush, was wealth enough. Eleanor handed me a painted stone from a student, its colors like her penny, a token of gratitude. I shared how Chloe would have loved this, her crayons always busy. And Sarah spoke of David's dream to teach. The kids, thriving, were proof we'd built something lasting, not with steel, but with heart. The legal fight had shown our strength, but this workshop showed our soul. The note and penny, still unopened, were mysteries for another day. This moment, children painting, families connecting, was truth. The river's whisper urged me forward, its current a promise of growth. My fear of hope, once a shadow, dissolved in this light, each brushstroke a root sinking deeper. Boston's winter embraced us. Our workshop a hearth, a family and community bound by art, eternal as the city's resilient spirit, thriving in love's design. Boston's January dusk painted the Charles River in hues of amber, its flow a quiet vow of permanence. In our penthouse, Chloe's patch thrived, a green heart amidst winter. The art workshop flourished, the charity's threat defeated, our family proven unbreakable. I held a small brass key, its weight like Eleanor's penny, a symbol of my decision, a new home in Boston suburbs, designed for Sarah, Mia, Jake, and Lily. The stranger's note, still unopened in my drawer, felt like a distant echo, its mystery yielding to this truth. I called Sarah to the balcony, the skyline's glow a backdrop, my architect's heart steady. I handed her the key, explaining the house a garden for Jake, a studio for her, rooms for the kids. Her eyes widened, tracing the key's curves, and she whispered, "This is home." No grand gestures. Just a quiet promise, like the river's steady current. My hands, once drafting towers, now built this moment, rooted in Boston's earth. The kids' laughter inside, Eleanor's scarf glinting as she read to them, sealed my resolve. This key, simple yet profound, was our bond, a family forged in fire, choosing to stay, eternal as the city's resilient spirit. Sarah held the key, her fingers brushing mine, the touch warm like the public garden spring. We stood close, the river's murmur a philosophical guide, its light reflecting our shared journey. I spoke of Chloe, how she'd love the new garden, and Sarah shared David's dream of a family home. The key, a bridge between past and future, held our losses and hopes. I saw Mia's murals, Jake's carvings, Lily's sketches, and knew this house was for them, for us. My pride, once a wall, had crumbled through Eleanor's forgiveness, Mia's drawings, Sarah's trust. The penthouse, once cold, was now a hearth, but the new home promised roots deeper than steel. Sarah's gaze, soft as Boston's oaks, met mine, and I felt no fear, only certainty. The key's weight, like Eleanor's carved bird, was a vow, not of wealth, but of presence. The skyline faded, my towers mere shadows against this intimacy. We didn't need extravagance. This moment, her hand on the key, was enough. A declaration woven in silence, a design of love that would endure beyond the river's endless song. As stars emerged, Sarah leaned in, her breath soft, and we shared a gentle kiss, simple yet certain. Like the first bud in Chloe's patch. The world paused, Boston's hum distant, the river's glow our only witness. No words followed, just a shared smile, her hand still holding the key. Mine resting on hers. Inside, Eleanor's voice rose, reading to the kids, their giggles a melody of joy. I thought of the fire, how I'd carried them through flames, and now, through this kiss. We carried each other into tomorrow. The key, our unspoken, we stay, was a covenant, not of grandeur, but of heart. My architect's mind, once fixed on skylines, saw only this family. This home we'd built, the note and penny, mysteries yet to unfold, paled beside this truth. The river's whisper, warm and philosophical, promised spring, its current a reminder of life cycles. We stepped inside, the kids rushing to us, their faces bright, Boston's winter night embracing us. Our kiss a seed planted, our family a design eternal, rooted in love's quiet, unshakable strength. Boston's February sunset bathed our new suburban home in golden light, the Charles River a distant memory now mirrored by a backyard stream. We'd moved from the penthouse. Chloe's patch replanted here, its herbs thriving beside Jake's garden. Inside, the kitchen glowed, filled with Mia's giggles, Jake's chatter, and Lily's soft humming as we set the table for a simple meal, roast chicken, Sarah's recipe. Eleanor, her silver scarf glinting, tossed salad, her presence a quiet anchor. The stranger's note and penny, now tucked in a box, were mysteries resolved by this truth. Our family, forged in fire, was home. My architect's heart, once fixed on skylines, found joy in this scene. Children's laughter, clinking plates, the stream's murmur outside. Sarah's smile, warm as the fading sun, met mine, the brass key from last month now hanging by the door. Our vow to stay. The table, crowded with drawings and carvings, was our hearth, Boston's winter softened by this warmth. I thought of Chloe, her light in Mia's eyes, and David, his strength in Jake's hands. This meal, this moment, was a design complete, rooted in love's enduring soil, eternal as the city's resilient spirit. As we ate, the sunset deepened, painting the walls with amber hues like the public garden in autumn. Mia recounted her art workshop, her latest mural a hit at the community center. Jake boasted of his garden's first sprouts. Lily shared a coding project, her quiet pride shining. Sarah laughed, her brushstrokes now a beacon for local kids, while Eleanor's stories wove us tighter, her wisdom like the stream's steady flow. I shared a memory of Chloe, how she loved this noisy table, and Sarah spoke of David, his dream of family dinners fulfilled here. The kids listened, their faces bright. The meal a tapestry of our journey, from the fire's chaos to this cozy haven. My penthouse, once cold, was a distant memory. This house, with its creaky floors and crayon-marked walls, was home. The legal fight, the charity's threat, faded against this joy. My hands, once drafting towers, now past plates, building connection. The stream's whisper outside, philosophical and warm, echoed our story. Loss had led to love, each laugh a root sinking deeper, our family a design stronger than steel, thriving in Boston's gentle dusk. I stood by the window, the sunset fading, and reflected. I'd once lost everything, Chloe, Ellen, my heart, yet learned to love again through fire, through Mia's drawings, Sarah's trust, Eleanor's grace. The stream's murmur carried this truth, its flow a reminder of life cycles. Turning to the table, I saw our family, whole, alive, a testament to second chances. I spoke to the air, as if to YouTube's unseen audience. If you believe in second chances, like, subscribe, share your story. What's the moment that rebuilt your heart? The kids cheered, unaware of my imaginary camera, their joy my proof. Eleanor's nod, Sarah's hand in mine, sealed this vow. The note and penny, mysteries no more, were threads in our tapestry, overshadowed by this home. Boston's stars emerged, the streams sung a philosophical guide, urging others to find light in loss. My fear of hope, once a shadow, was gone, replaced by this family, this table, this love, eternal, rooted, a design complete. Glowing in the heart of our new beginning, forever bound by fire's grace.